All right, folks, we're back. And it is Monday. Glad to be back here in the studios again today. Folks, this is your host. Who? It's Radio Strongman. Kim Wade. I am coming to you live from WYAB 1039 FM. Well, folks, it is Monday. We made it through another weekend, and it was 4th of July. Boy, I tell you what. First of all, the hotline number is brought to you by EliteRoofer.com. Folks, if you had storm damage, here's the number to call for your first, second, or third estimate, 601-326-2755. Or go to EliteRoofer.com, click on Contact, and one of their roofers will come run and give you an estimate. Check them out today for all the exterior repairs and needing done to your home. They can do it. All right? All right, folks, it's an open forum, and I hope everybody had a happy 4th of July. I did. Spent a lot of time painting, but it's all good. Hollywood did get to go out to the Empire Truck Show fireworks display there on the 4th of July. Hat tip to Empire. They really did a phenomenal job. Great turnout. Food was great. They spent over $50,000 on fireworks. Dude, that was a serious fireworks display. Hat tip to, man, I tell you what, this seemed like the 4th of July of my youth. The patriotism, the love of country displayed, it was real. It was palpable. And, it's only been under President Trump that people have really felt good about this country. And hat tip to the hardworking people over at Empire for putting it on. And this thing took months in preparation, and they cleaned out all their truck bays, truck stalls, and put out picnic tables and top quality hamburgers and hot dogs. Just good old fashioned 4th of July. Kind of remind me of my youth, and we had 4th of July back in Decatur, Illinois, which is, folks, you have to see it. It is clearly, truly a Norman Rockwell painting scene when you go to downtown Decatur during the holidays, and they still fly Old Glory, and the Boy Scouts, the veterans, and the Shriners, and it's just the full regalia of American-loving folks. And the first Saturday in August every year they have Decatur Day, and that's when everybody's encouraged to come home. This is not a family reunion, family type. It's a reunion for all the people who grew up in Decatur. And I was going to do the same thing here in the city of Jackson. Have a Jackson Day. Everybody who grew up in Jackson, particularly during the 60s and 70s, come on home. Of course, it just ain't nothing to do in Jackson other than get shot. Nobody wants to get shot. Go figure. I mean, the adrenaline rush that you get from running for your life. Come on, guys. But anyway, yeah, that's Decatur Day there, and they have all of downtown, and they got one of those, with the bus station, they had the little circular park for the bus depot. They got one of those, and you ought to see it at Christmas time. It's just it's brutal. Matter of fact, you can go to Decatur, Illinois on Facebook and look at some of the pictures. But yeah, everybody come home and they have the whole downtown just full of activities, just different bands, country music, blues, gospel, hip hop, bluegrass, just different stages for all that thing, and it's 2 or 3 days. And then at night, the different schools would have their, I won't say homecoming, what is it? If you graduated from that school, you go to that event. So it was really good. It's really good every year. It's a good time had by all. But anyway, and also that's the day they have the fun fair. That's when they have the carnival. It's just something to do. And then the parks there, the neighborhood parks is big as LaFleur Park. Okay, those are neighborhood parks. The big parks are like, dude, they're huge, and they're on south end and north end of town. And then you got your neighborhood parks all in between. And one of the things you won't find in Decatur is trash. You don't find trash. Now, they do have some areas over there that houses need to be torn down, and they're working on them. Of course, those are areas that vote predominantly Democrat. So, poverty follows that party. The Democrats, that's the only part of the Bible that they believe in, that the poor will always be with you. And they're going to ensure that through their policies. But anyway, enough of that. It was a great time had by all here in America. On the 4th of July, Donald Trump signed his big, beautiful bill with B-52s flying over the White House. And Democrats are losing their rabid minds, as they should. And we're going to aid and assist them in every way we can to make sure they reach their destination. If crazy they want, crazy is where they're going, baby. And I have to be honest. I get grins on my chin every time I see them with falling countenance, with a furrowed brow, with the look of exasperation. I say, thank you, Donald Trump. You've made my day, sir. But Donald Trump continues to rack up the wins. Trump derangement syndrome is in full force, full effect, folks. It's not going to get any better anytime soon. But look, just go with the flow. Now, here's an example, folks, of this is the reason. Now, watch what I'm telling you now. See, I mean, I know many of you, I ran into somebody at, this weekend at Kroger's. And, you know, there are movers and shakers in the area around here. I mean, they really get a lot done, to be honest with you. They're very effective. And it was, you know, we're talking about the campaign and what was the experience like, yada, yada, yada. But let me just say this to folks. Hey, I have no regrets. I'm good. Life is good. Here's the deal. You can't be successful without following some of the suggestions that I made. You just can't get there from here. And so people say, well, you just want John to fail. Ain't got nothing to do with John failing. See, you folks, you keep trying to do the personality thing. You're trying to put it into a person. And I've been specific, and I've been very, very specific, as a matter of fact, that we're talking policy here. And I keep telling you, those policies don't work. And all the people were excited about the inauguration. You can hope against hope. Ain't nothing wrong with that, other than it's not going to work. The problems that we're experiencing here in Jackson, regardless of the leadership, is that we don't recognize the spiritual component of the things that we're doing in our day-to-day walk. We say we do because we say we pray every morning and we consecrate our day to God and yada, yada, yada. I know, but what do you do in the intervening hours when you're making decisions on the second, minute, on the hour? That affects it. And if it's not grounded in universal and spiritual principles, I can tell you how it's going to end. This is why I can tell you about the people who subscribe to the corrupt Congressman Benny Thompson's philosophy and view of life. It's not going to work. Here's a guy who says the President Trump is guilty of insurrection, stirring up, yada, 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 but he destroys all the evidence that was garnered during this investigation. He destroys it. And yet all these people, now I'm not saying you people should forsake Benny. If he's your friend, look, I can understand and I respect, and loyalty, there's a place for it. But you got to understand, even your friend, somebody that you love and respect, if they're doing things that are against the will of God, against the word of God, your friendship ain't going to carry him over the finish line. Now, he is corrupt as it can be. And the fact that he would railroad President Trump, you know he will railroad Jody and Chokwe, which he's done, as I pointed out to you folks. And if I didn't, let me point it out to you again. The investigation into Chokwe and Jody, according to the FBI, transpired over a 2-year period. So they got arrested, 6-7 months ago? So go back 2 years from that. So this is why I keep raising these alarms and raising my eyebrows. Something's not hanging. This narrative is not hanging together, that they're trying to say that Chokwe was so this, that, or the other. And there's evidence, clear evidence of incompetence, indifference. And many, including myself, felt like there was criminality. But now think about it. The FBI is investigating this guy. They got his paperwork, got all his electronic devices and his whereabouts all being monitored and tracked and yada, yada, yada. This is during the Richardson contract, okay? The garbage contract debacle. And everybody felt like, man, this is sketchy. This is grimy. This guy's crooked. He's taking money. He's doing it. So looks like the FBI didn't find anything, huh? Or were they even looking? Were they just trying to set him up? Maybe Chokwe's not corrupt. But that's what the Committee of 50 would have you believe. That's what the news media would have you believe. That's what I would have you believe. Maybe he's not. 2 years at the height, and we felt like the Richards contract was the epitome of what the Chokwe administration's corruption was centered around. And yet the FBI didn't make a move on it. And I had an attorney who's familiar with the contract. He said, Kim, this is all legal. What Chokwe did was legal. The way he did it was legal. He just didn't articulate it well to the public. It looked sketchy. But he said it's absolutely legal. And those who would say that he was steering the contract to Richards, he said that's not quite accurate, that the contract was coming up for renewal and they were in well within their authority to, be searching out other bids, etc. So if the FBI was investigating him for 2 years, and then the FBI was saying that they heard something that he might be on the take or Jody might be on the take. Okay, so who they bribing? If you heard it, what came of what you heard when you started checking into that? So you couldn't find any. It's kind of like going after Donald Trump. You couldn't find anything, so you made up. You conducted a sting operation, in which they fell for. Look, so it appears. But that being the case, this whole narrative that Jeff Good and everybody else is pushing, that this guy's got to go because he's this, that, and well, wait a minute. Is there more to this story? Because it certainly seems that way. And I think time is going to bear witness to the fact that what we had here, we had some people who were upset with the garbage contract who might have already had a contract. I ain't going to say no names. Gibbs. Robert Gibbs. But that don't mean that he took affirmative steps to harm Chokwe in any form or fashion. If he exercised his right to run a candidate against Chokwe, that's fine. I mean, it's legal. But this narrative that Chokwe was so corrupt doesn't seem to be holding up. Because to let everybody else tell it, and including me, because I made commentary the same way, because I had the same eyebrows raised about some of the actions. But it seems to me that the administration preceding Chokwe were more corrupt than Chokwe. Chokwe may have been incompetent or just indifferent. But corrupt don't seem to be the case. So, why would they want to get rid of somebody who was not corrupt but incompetent, and yet everybody else before them was just as incompetent because the downward slide didn't stop it? Matter of fact, ain't even no skid marks going to the pits of hell when we look at Jackson. So something ain't right. That's what I'm saying. These next 4 years is going to bear me witness, because John done promised everybody and their mama the moon, and he can't deliver that. So we're going to see whose wheels get greased and who cheeks gets greased, who gets screwed with or without the grease. But something ain't going to happen. Like I said on Friday before I left, or Wednesday before I left, either the black politicians are lying to us about the white politicians are lying to us about the black politicians, or the black and white politicians are lying to all of us. But we're going to find out over the next 4 years. Because one thing we can definitely say, racism is not the problem in Jackson. Racism is not the problem in Mississippi. I told you about the Kabuki and henceforth and forevermore, when I refer to the Kabukis, I'm talking about the guilt-ridden whites and the grifting, hustling blacks who are black for a living, and they're screwing us to the ground with their, let's just say, ineffective leadership style. But time is going to bear witness what you heard the strong men say. There's something wrong with this picture. If I'm sitting on a jury with Chokwe and Jody, they going home. I'm going to be the holdout juror. I'm telling you that now. I'm the holdout juror. I believe Benny set this up. The prosecutor who brought these charges came literally, when I say came out of Benny's office, literally out of his congressional office. Literally. I mean, they drank coffee together in the same office at 8 o'clock in the morning. And you know he didn't become U.S. attorney without Benny's approval. And you know he didn't bring those charges without Benny's. All right, folks, we're back. And it's Monday. The AC Doctor stands at the ready to help you. If you're out there and you're burning up because your air conditioning is not performing, won't even cut on, call the AC Doctor. 601-706-4551. Folks, your comfort is their concern. So if you're not comfortable, they're concerned about that. Call them or go to the acdr.com. That's the ACDR. DR stands for what? Doctor. The acdr.com, and they'll come a running, folks. And they're also Central Mississippi's foremost authority on geothermal. So if you got geothermal and it's not performing, it's not working, guess who the people who install geothermal call? They call, that's right, the AC Doctor, because they do it. As a matter of fact, they have the geothermal unit there at their office. And you can go by there and see it running in real time, get a complete explanation and understanding how it works. And if you have geothermal and it's not working, call them, 706-4551. And I would also encourage you got 4 or 5 units or more. That means you got a big operation, a big building or whatever. Have the AC Doctor put one of the thermostats remote control where you can just run the units while you're there. For instance, if you're headed home, you could be turning that air conditioning on an hour or two before you get there, and it'd be good and cold rather than burning air all day long, wasting all that money. I know in the case of our church, we got down from paying for heating and cooling for 31 days out of a month with energy down to about 3 or 4 days. When you total up all the hours that, kids choir, adult choir, weekday service, Sunday services, etc., you're only looking at about 3 or 4 days a week in terms of hours. And the rest of it, you can be making those savings. Call the AC Doctor today, not tomorrow, today. Keep this number handy, 706-4551, area code 601. All right, folks, it is an open forum. And look, I'm just telling you these things so you'll know, so when they come to pass, you say, Kim said that. It's not rocket science to figure it out. Folks, what you've been having, what we've been experiencing in Jackson and in this country, and this is what I love about Donald J. Trump, may his name live forever, is the fact that this guy understands that this stuff is fixable. The only reason why we can't get it fixed is because you got people, just like Jerome Powell over the Federal Reserve, won't lower interest rates. And if you lower interest rates, folks, I'm telling you, you need to go ahead on and jump on it. But because he hates Trump or he doesn't believe in Trump. The bottom line is, look at all this opportunity we're missing as a country and as individuals because of our pettiness. Now, with this big, beautiful bill that just got signed by Donald J. Trump, who, by the way, is a real president, as demonstrated by the last 6 months. Oh, my God, this winning. Whew, I might have to get a heart transplant to be able to endure all the W's that I'm forced to carry. But I'll do it because I have broad shoulders, and that's the kind of guy I am. But when you sit back and think about all this, man, what he did in this big, beautiful bill, being able to expense investing, for instance, the state of Mississippi just made some legislative changes I think started on July 1st, going into this next tax year, where you're getting tax incentives to fix up properties around here. And that's good. I mean, it's a good approach. It's good from an investment standpoint. And I hat tip to the legislature over there. That would be Shanks and Crudup and all those folks who were on that committee to make that a part of it. And Delbert Holzman and Mr. White getting that thing signed, getting it over to the governor's desk. That's a good move. And rather than just hating, and folks, this is what I would urge all of us. Quit dealing with these folks who, when you first meet them, the first thing they want to show you is their flag, their ribbon, their T-shirt, their hat, whatever theme, their crap that they're running or concerned. I don't even want to deal with you on that. Just no. Keep it moving. because you're too small-minded. I can't fool with you like that. I want to deal with people like Trump. Trump is a businessman, and he does business. And what he did with this big, beautiful bill, if Jackson, Mississippi can't get his crap together now, you get the expense 100%. So, folks, buy that house next door. Fix it up. Now, they say in manufacturing is where I heard the example used about being able to expense 100% of the investment a business will be able to do. But if you got a business and you buy the house, you just as legitimate as a manufacturing plant. So now's the opportunity to fix up all these junk houses around Jackson rather than tearing everything down. But you're going to watch this, folks, because black Democrats are so hateful towards Donald Trump, many of them won't even take advantage of it. And then they'll sit back and say what the Republican Party ain't doing for black people. What somebody, dude, you won't do it for yourself. You won't even investigate to see if it's a good idea. Screw you. We're just sick of people like you. No, excuse me, not we. I'm sick of y'all. I don't know about anybody else. I'm just sick of y'all always complaining when all you got to do is pick up a book, read the legislation, find out more. You don't want to do that because somebody done told you you need to, just like Derek Johnson them did with the Tea Party, told you to hate the Tea Party, and all the Tea Party was saying, hey, man, you need to use generally accepted accounting principles while you're running this government. Nah, we going to do it black. Black, I tell you. Yep. And look at us now, out here like hobos, beggars, and bums, talking about how we're going to get the state and everybody else to give us something. Whenever you hear a politician say that, they don't have a plan. And this is what I would say to the legislation and the rest of the state. Don't you give Jackson, Mississippi not one red dime, cent, nickel, or penny. Unless you put some strings attached and say, we need to see some real indices, increases in the areas of education. We need to see property values stabilized or increasing. I was looking at pictures from John's inauguration, and I'm seeing everybody down there in the gala and all that, yada, yada, yada. And that's good. But here's the deal, folks. Those same folks you see walking around there with on tuxedos and ballroom dresses on, ask them, when they take that garbage can down to the road at their house, if they see a piece of paper out in the middle of the street, on the curb on the other side of the street, they won't even walk across the street and pick it up. So how the hell are you going to develop a city when you got that attitude? If you can't think of no more than yourself, you're not going to be able to fix this. Kim, you just being Nick Hoss. I see patterns. You don't know what you're doing. And you get mad because somebody's noticing the fact that, they don't seem to know what they're doing. Just like they said Chokwe didn't know. But remember what I told you in the earlier monologue. The FBI investigated for 2 years, and this is parallel to the Richardson contract, and everybody felt like they were corrupt, and they were monitoring all his electronic devices and monitoring him. They didn't find nothing on Richards. So who's really behind this committee of 50? Is their motives pure? I think time is going to bear witness that they're not. But don't get me wrong. I ain't wringing my hand for the folks who are going this way. If that's what you want to do, go for it. But just remember what I told you. Jackson cannot be successful going into the future if you're not looking out for your kids. It ain't going to happen. And remember what I told you, and it ain't going to change. And folks, listen to what I'm telling you now. The next legislative years, one of the top items and issues that's going to be discussed is education. Watch how weak black men in the legislature is going to be. And watch, it's going to be the gay black men who are going to oppose education for everybody else. While they sashay around the rotunda up there, they done got good education. They done received a good education. They got good jobs. And yet they want to pull up the life raft for anybody else. What obligation do we owe to the educational establishment, period? When we want to tear down every damn statute and any vestige of the Jim Crow area, the era when white Democrats were at their peak of evilness. We want to tear down everything there, but we want to maintain the public schools. We don't owe them anything. You know why you do it? Because your black leadership, Derek Johnson and NAACP, are benefiting from our kids being miseducated while they act like they're concerned about the school-to-prison pipeline. Black leadership is full of crap. They have no intentions of making the black community better. The next 4 years is going to bear witness to what I said. They're going to prove it. They got the skill set to do it. You know what they lack? The will set. They don't have the will to do it because they don't have permission in their mind from those devils that they serve. I'm not going to be found wrong on this. You can get mad at me, fall down on the ground, kick ball and squall and call me an SOB. But one thing you won't be able to call me is wrong. Let's take a break. We'll be right back. All right, folks, we're back. Hey, I want to remind you, we're going to be shooting tomorrow at Two Gun Tactical around 11, from 11 to 1. Come on through there. As you know, happy hour begins on Tuesday to Friday from 11 till 2 at the gun range there at 667 Casey Lane in Flowood, Mississippi, on the Pearl end of Flowood near Highway 80. And then also the new location, Highway 51 at Lake Harbor. Come on out and get your shooting on. We encourage you to do that, and they have classes available. Go online, twoguntactical.com, and don't forget, if you want to give a gift certificate for the person who has everything, give them a subscription and membership, brother, at Two Gun Tactical so they can come shoot whenever they want. And ladies, they have the beginner's class, a half-day class for $100. You can come in there and get familiar with a firearm or your firearm. Bring it, and you get to shoot it. If you had not shot it before, get familiar with your firearm. We encourage you to do that. You're going to need it because, again, these Democrats are running amok in this country because Donald Trump he's crushing them all over the world. Trump is a MAGA. He's making America great. He's making the world great. Speaking of that, Mobile Bob.
Hey, man.
What up, man? Are you tired of winning? Do you need a vacation?
He was, what was that name? Clown's name, Hakeem Jeffries, with his, what was it, 8-hour speech or what, 8-hour snooze fest? Or
well, he's a junior Cory Booker. He's a junior Cory Booker. They kind of favor too.
Yeah, yeah, in every way that they can. Like, what you saying, all black guys look alike? Yeah. Don't do that for sure.
Yeah.
I think one person said some Republicans did the same thing to delay some vote, talk for whatever hours. Okay, and we remember that guy just a bunch of ago. We remember Hakeem Jeffries. Mm-hmm. You accomplished nothing. The only people who bring up what you did are people like us mocking you. so it's like, dude, what's the point? You delaying the inevitable. So delaying the inevitable makes you feel good? Is that what it is? Okay, whatever. Just keep wasting your time. And then, like I said, Trump's going to win, so keep wasting your time.
Well, they have to give their base something. I mean, the base is losing their mind, and the party's becoming increasingly, further left. The guy up in New York is giving them the fits. Hey, you guys are where you are. It is what it is. The Democrat Party is toxic, and the people who represent the Democrat Party, they're toxic, and they can't pivot. And so it seems they're going to get what they're going to get, which is losses. But did you listen where they're talking about they're trying to snooker Trump into doing amnesty so he can unravel his base and basically give them – it's almost like a Hail Mary from the Democrat side.
Yeah, his signature thing, which he gets the vast majority of his support from, and they're going to – what are they trying to do exactly?
They want him to concede and just go ahead on and grant amnesty to the illegals that he couldn't round up, and because otherwise he's being told that the Republicans are going to lose in a landslide in the midterms because he's doing amnesty. I mean, because he's doing deportation. That's going nowhere.
And their poll shows that he's on the majority of Americans agree with him. Mm-hmm. Even CNN polls show that. So, yeah, whatever. Mm-hmm. I would even have to be willing to consider amnesty for them if, the following conditions. You can't vote, and your kids can't vote. In any election, you pay us so much, maybe $5,000-$6,000 mm-hmm. in reparations, and you can't ever vote. Then that'll be something that'll be worth considering. But until then, no. You're not getting anything.
Well, the Democrats will go along with that because they know the way they would write up a bill. Because
Right.
you know how lawyers are going to do this. They're going to leave a thread hanging so they can come in there. Yeah, but you can't do that. And the bottom line is this here. The biggest threat and that would be for the Democrats would be for Trump to just insist that whoever is here illegally, if you don't have your paperwork and you know you don't have paperwork, you need to be taking English classes, American, learning American values, and basically just going through the same courses that people who try to enter the country properly have to go through. That creates more patriotic Americans than anything else, I believe, because the people who I've run across who have come into this country legally, they are very steeped in the workings of our government. They love the country, and they have proven it what they're willing to sacrifice and pay the cost. I say let's go that route. I think we should be deporting and doing both of those. I think it would be a good because the last thing Democrats want is for these immigrants to love America. As much as they hate America, as much as Democrats hate it, they don't want anybody loving it.
And of course, there would need to be laws passed to imprison Congress people and anybody in elected officials who allow illegal people coming to this country illegally.
Right.
That's where the problems seem to come in. There's no punishment for these people when they do allow.
Right.
It's like you can willingly refuse to enforce a law and there's no consequences for you. That seems to have been the case with all this happening. Well, why are they willing not enforce any law then? If you're going to just pick and choose which laws you're going to enforce.
Well, and see, that's the reason why.
Some consequence for that.
And that's the reason why Trump is doing these high profile, just snatching folks up from here and there and yada yada yada, because he want to put the fear in them. If you come into this country illegally, and the next president try to entice you in here, just remember somebody else is going to come in here and throw your butt out. But if he just lets everything slide, then the next president who comes and waves everybody in, you're going to get the same crowd. So Trump knows what he's doing. Again, he's one of the few politicians that's looking generation down from every decision that he makes. The rest of them are just looking just right now what they can get out of the situation as opposed to what's best for our nation.
What do you think's going to happen with Elon and this so-called, third party he thinks he wants to try to create?
I don't think it's going to go anywhere. It's going to be more of a hassle for Elon. I think the Democrats got on his X account and just pumped up the numbers and said, yeah, go for it. Let's do it. Yada, yada, yada. And there is sentiment out there for a third party. I understand that. But what Elon is upset about, and as many has pointed out, I don't know why he would be, and he doesn't seem to be upset about the subsidy. Now, he may be, the EV subsidies being going away, but he knew that was going to be part of it. There's no way he could go into Doge asking for cuts on everything else and not expect himself to be under that chopping block. And besides, if people right now, people who want Teslas will buy Teslas. I think the incentives is not going to hurt being there, but not going to hurt if they're not there, because people want them, they want them. They want the car.
The EV fad, which now it looks like it's turned into a fad, is dying in this country, really in the world.
Right.
Because it was doomed from the start. There was no way we had the infrastructure for electric vehicles on the scale that we had for gas vehicles. It just couldn't happen. I'm glad people finally started to come to their senses, although I don't think people ever lost their senses. It was the politicians under Biden that was pushing this nonsense. The people never wanted it. They thought they could force people into buying these things. And we proved, well, you may pass the bill, but we have to actually write the check, and we'll pass on the electric vehicles. Thank you very much.
Yeah, well, Elon is, and I don't know how much of this is choreographed, and because at the end of the day, he's got to understand the process is the process. He knows Trump and everybody else would love to have deeper cuts and yada, 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 but that's not the way this system is set up. And just because you want it real bad, and this is what I say to all the people who are Trump supporters and everything else, it's like with the Epstein list. Folks, bribery is a part of Washington, D.C., okay?
Sure.
So whoever has the file list, they have the list of the Lindsey Grahams and everybody else, and they're using it. So why give it up so people, look, if you're going to hold a trial, the trial is going to end up being held in D.C., or some friendly liberal bastion up there in New York somewhere. Nothing's going to come of it. So if you got Lindsey Graham and the other ones across a barrel, then go ahead on and use it. Because if Trump's name was on the list, they wouldn't have went through all that lawfare. They would have just published it a long time ago. So we know Trump's name's not on it. And why Elon is throwing that out there, like I said, I'm not 100% certain that this is not a choreographed dance by Elon and Trump, basically just to take some steam off Elon and what he's doing for Doge, etc. So I don't know how it's all going to play out, but I'm not concerned with it because I know that what Trump has demonstrated to me, that God has his fingerprints all over this administration. So I'm going to let God work his will. I'm not going to worry about Elon.
Yeah, the Epstein deal is like great. It's great if we get it, but if not, I think releasing it would do more harm than good, which is why they're not doing it. The names on there, and to watch somebody go to jail for a crime like that is you say that until your finances drop 10-20% because of you releasing it. Then all of a sudden, well, maybe it's like the golden Fort Knox. If it's not there, don't ever tell me.
Right.
I do not want to know because I don't want the consequences of what happens if we do find out he's not there.
Right.
But better, ignorance is bliss.
in this case, you're absolutely right. All right, brother, we're up against a break.
All right, man.
We'll be right back. All right. The final few minutes of the first hour of the Kim Wade Show, John Dorsey. John Dorsey stands at the ready to give you a quote on renters, homeowners, or auto insurance. Just give them a call, 601-790-2600, and they'll give you that quote fast, quick, and in a hurry. And John would like to remind you about getting your policy reviewed. Regardless of who you're with, every year you need to get that policy reviewed because there's always changes that happen over the year coming from the state regulators, national regulators, the insurance industry itself. There's changes. So get up on it and make sure that you have all the advantages that your policy would afford. And make sure you understand your policy. Get with an agent who can explain it. John Dorsey, 601-790-2600. Also, when we come back, we're going to be discussing the flash flood out there in Texas. What was it? In 45 minutes or 26 minutes? It was that water. Folks, I believe those clouds were seeded. Just like they did up there in North Carolina where they had all that rain washing down on the mountainside, washing out. Folks, there's just so much evil out here. There's just so much evil. And you got people wringing their hands saying, "Oh, Trump laid off all the no, folks." There was, again, if you don't have your weather alerts on your phone or you're in a position where you can't receive it, you're going to get what you're going to get. But at the end of the day, that was just, it's just hard to get your head around. But when you see that water rising like that, dude, I don't know what anybody could have done. I don't. But either way, we've got to get the growth of our government under control, get it within the reins and boundaries of our pocketbook. And that's what Elon is concerned about. But, brother, the way you're doing it, throwing the party, giving the potential for basically giving the Democrats a life raft is not the solution. But, again, people get so caught up in their little personal thing as opposed to what is the big picture. This is what I noticed running for mayor of Jackson. Nobody really has a big vision for Jackson. And it's simple. When you look out for the kids, you're looking out for the future. You look out for property values, you can fund the future. It's simple. And it's working everywhere else but where Democrats and black Democrats run things. Because they're not their own men and women. They don't have agency. They're under the influence of Satan. Evil. Let's take a... All right, folks, we are back and it is Monday. Glad to be back here in the studios. Celebrated the 4th of July. Life is good in America. And for those who are still angry and upset, they're just lazy, selfish. They don't want anybody else's lives improving, but you know what? It's actually following a trend, and it's something that I noticed. Folks, we are here in the second hour of the Kim Wade Show. Hotline numbers brought by EliteRoofer.com. If you need your first, second, or third estimate, here you go. Take this number down. 326-2755, area code 601. Folks, they've got experience working with the insurance industry, and They've been doing roofing for a long time, getting it right, and you'll be one of their satisfied customers, I guarantee. Check it out today, 326-2755, area code 601. All right, folks, it is an open forum here today. The flooding out there in Texas, I was told that it rose 27 feet in 45 minutes. Dude, that's a lot of water. And when it's raining hard like that, you're not doing a whole lot of moving around, so you more than likely, wherever people were, they got under whatever shelter, tree, or whatever just to get out of the direct rain, not anticipating that it was going to be a flooding situation the way it was. That's a lot of rain. That sounds to me like cloud seeding. In a very centralized location like that, just one little spot? Come on, y'all. And we know that they're doing cloud seeding out there. But again, this is why those who are of the household of faith, you need to just keep praying. We're dealing with evil people who have their world crashing down all around them because of the onslaught of one man who's determined to break it all up at the door. God bless Donald J. Trump. May his name live forever. And I'm serious about that because this man is doing a lot of good for the country, for those who want to receive it. And for all you folks out there saying, what has he done for my group or that group? Bruh, why don't you quit being so, just being so hard to live with? But it's that selfishness, and you see it throughout all up and down the food chain. This is why I can say with confidence about what's going to happen in Jackson. It's not they don't have the skill set to get it done. They don't have the will set. They're not willing to do it. Folks, they would have done it by now. And I mentioned to you earlier, the next year, this next legislative session, education is going to be high on the agenda. And I want you to watch how black people move in the legislature when it comes to education. They don't care. The only thing they care about is defending public education. And they can't even give you a good reason why they're doing it. Remember, this is the same public education out of which separate but unequal came from. And we wanted, what did they say about MAGA? Oh, they want to go back to a time when black folks, well, you're doing the same thing with the schools. But because most black Democrats don't think things through, they just go with whatever they're told to tell everybody, we're going to be stuck like Chuck. So we had, and let me just say this here. Folks, if we would be honest with ourselves, we've had 3 damn good governors. 8 years of Haley, 8 years of Phil, and 8 years of Tate. Minus the COVID thing, COVID caught him off guard, caught all of us off guard. And I don't support his COVID policies, not one iota, no. But overall, Tate Reeves has been a damn good governor. He has delivered. For those who wanted to have it delivered, he delivered. And what Canton, Mississippi has showed us, what Jackson, Mississippi has showed us, it don't make a difference how much money you give black folks. They are not going to parlay it into anything that's going to grow in a firm life and secure a better future for their constituents. They ain't going to do it. All they're going to do is goof off the money or do nothing. I don't care about them being mad. As I sit back and look at it, it is always, if you look at what has happened in Jackson, it has happened under the hands and tutelage of all those blacks who talk all that black crap. Whether it's set aside, it doesn't make a difference. It's them. And as I told you in the earlier hour, something's wrong with this narrative about Chokwe being corrupt. Because if he was corrupt and everybody thought that the Richardson contract was riddled with corruption and the FBI was monitoring him the whole time and they ain't brought no charges against that. Because my whole thing is the government is protecting these other criminals in government. That's why John Horn had to get in there, because they don't want to open the books. And they're not going to open them. That's why they're not finishing the audits. They want to keep as much chaos down there as possible. But as I told you on Wednesday of last week before we left on vacation, what's going to happen in Jackson? The infrastructure is going to finally get repaired at some point. But by that time, the rest of Jackson will have been gone. Property values will be down in the basement, and you'll be able to buy everything dirt cheap. But the deal is, and this is what I was trying to get across to the constituents as we was campaigning, guys, we can parlay, if we would just couple with what Tate Reeves has done for the economy of the state of Mississippi with the job creations, et cetera, with our own effort of cleaning up our own town and cities, et cetera, and getting our schools in order, we could benefit. Black Democrats won't allow it. But I want you to notice something going into the next legislative session. Watch what I'm telling you. Watch Black Democrats get behind every criminal prison reform bill that comes down, and they won't support education of our kids. Because we don't owe public schools a damn thing. We owe our kids an education, but not Black Democrats, not Mayor Truly. Mayor Truly screwed up when he did not do everything within his power to, if they needed private schools, charter schools, or better schools, it was on him to make it happen. He didn't do it. So what happened with Canton? Canton couldn't parlay $17 billion worth of investment on their doorstep, and those ninjas still can't benefit from it. You know why? Because of black leadership. You got black men who don't care about black kids. Don't tell me that's not the case. Look at matter of fact, look at Canton. They killing each other like crazy up there. Matter of fact, somebody just need to drop off some 22s and drop off on the corner and let everybody just step off 10 paces and turn around and fire. It ain't racism. It's black folks. And that's why I said the kabuki dance has been exposed by who? Kim Wade. Well, nobody else, not no one else, handicapping the political landscape of Jackson the way I did it, explaining to you about the role of the nonprofits and how they're going to destroy this city. There is no coming back from what they're doing because everybody is ate up with their notion of compassion. Kingfish, no, was it Kingfish? No, Clay Edwards and WLBT had the story, and Clay reposted it about showing pictures of the police officers out there having to clean up the trash. They got on the rubber gloves, and man, what the hell you got the police officers? We paying for all these bums out here to harass us and make our lives worse. And yet we got to pay our police officers to spend their day out picking up trash that's been dumped. Folks, there's no way forward. And the only reason why we're doing that is because our leadership is more concerned about the riffraff of our society rather than the people who made things work. I told you when I was running, and there was no market for it, obviously, I said, I'm going to be for the people who make Jackson work. Screw the bums. I owe them zip. Well, Kim, that could be you. It could. If I follow behind you. But it ain't going to be me because I ain't doing that. Well, it could be. And you know what else? It could be them working. If you wasn't out here running interference for this riffraff nation and this hobo mentality. I don't put up with it. I don't appreciate it. I'm not going to tolerate it. And you can talk all that black crap all you want. Hoss, I'm the one to step on the tip of your toe and say, is there a problem here? That's all I need to know. Is there a problem right here where we're standing? Because you're not going to fix anything. If you're not going to fix the schools, you're not into economic development. You're into doing deals for yourself. Old, black, gray-haired men out there cutting more deals. We're basically living off the Social Security number of our kids, just like irresponsible ghetto mamas would do. No, you ain't getting away with it, Hoss. And let me say this to you set-aside Negroes out there. Why are we giving you a better deal? Why? Why should we even have set-aside? What do we owe Socrates to Garrett now? What do we owe to Hamburger Magnet? What do we owe any of those IMS or any? What do we owe y'all? Y'all been around 20 years. When you going to get your crap together where you don't need the set-aside crap? Because if you can't get it together, tell us now so we can quit worrying with this. Well, Kim, they did it. Well, they didn't did it to you. Well, they did it to black people. Okay, so then everybody should benefit from it. So when you going to send us a check? When you going to send us a check? You want us to grade you on a curb when you put your bid in and give you some extra points so you can get the work, and you ain't guaranteeing us good service, a better quality of service. We're not doing that. I'm letting you know now. It's not going to be unencumbered, your next plans that you got for the city. And to Kane Ditto and all the rest of y'all who want to get backstopped by the citizens of Jackson for your projects downtown, I ain't got no problem with it. But what's in it for us? Y'all talk about John being a good negotiator. John, what's in it for us? other than us co-signing and being on the hook for their debt? What's in it for us? We're not putting it on, dude. We're not. It's not going to be another 40 years of what y'all been doing. It's not going to be like when IMS first started 20, 30 years ago, when Kane Ditto gave them their break. It's not going to be like that no more. You're going to have to come and explain to us why we should do it. Derek Johnson needs to come and explain to us why the NAACP, to the exclusion and education of our kids, want public education even when it's not delivering for our kids. Why should we continue to do this? Why? Show us in dollars and cents, Derek Johnson, why we should be doing this. Because they're getting paid. You see all these things that we're doing that's against the interests of the black community, and then they'll come back and say it's racism. And we just saw with the inauguration of John Horn and the election of John Horn that it wasn't. You saw all those people on that damn podium talking about how easy this guy was to work with, how easy these people are to work with down through the years. Now remember, these people came back to us, came back to WNPR, WYAB, WOAD, and talking about how them folks down at the legislature wouldn't work with black folks. And yet the same folks that they say wouldn't work with black folks were on the stage talking about how these black folks work with them. Now that gives me pause. So somebody's lying. Either the white folks lying, the black folks lying, or the black and white folks are lying to the rest of us. The next 4 years is going to prove it. So when I tell you I didn't lose, no, I didn't lose. Y'all lost. Because now you're in the spotlight. You got everything you said you needed. You got the kumbaya crowd. You got blacks and white holding hands and hugging each other and kissing each other on the mouth. So we should be able to see some results. You're not going to be able to see it. You know why? Because somebody in that group, or all three of them, are full of crap. We're going to find out. So that's why I keep saying, Hoss, there was a reason why I was supposed to have been in that race. Because there's changes assigned to Jackson, Mississippi. And they think they won. No, what you have done is gotten exposed. This is the age of the chain breaker, baby. Just like when Benny Thompson was denying those people housing up there in the Delta because they weren't the white right shade, or they wouldn't do business the way he wanted to be done. Now, Benny's worth $80 million. So they got the project, they got the land, they got the program ready to go. They just needed Benny to do his dope boy magic and touch the mayors up there and let them know this project has been approved by the gangster himself. He didn't do it. So the people didn't get housing. Then the question I could ask, well, then why didn't Benny take some of that $80 million he got, take one of them buddies that he went to high school with over at, what is it, wasn't Hines, wasn't that an agricultural school down there? I know he went to school with some of them boys down there, got some backhoes and some front loaders and who can scrape some land and do some dirt work and build some houses. Why don't he just fund them? So he keeping his money, he investing his money in white companies like AT&T, C Spire, wherever else he put his money at, but he don't invest in the black community. Folks, we ain't going nowhere. And then when you add into it the blacks who are doing all these underhanded deals like they did with the Siemens contract, you got 4 or 5 blacks that got millions of dollars. They don't invest in Jackson. They don't invest in black folks that I can see. Ain't nobody they went to school with that they can invest in. Oh, what we need is a black bank. No, we don't. We need you to ungrip some of that money, bruh. Give that brother a Holy Ghost handshake, man. I'm going to spot you, dog. Just like Donald Trump do. Donald Trump was known for giving, hey, Donald, can you lend me $200,000? Okay, yeah. Write him out a check. Now pay me back. And when you pay him back, come back there with that check to pay him back, he tears up the check. You know who else did that? Bob Buchanan. Yeah, it was Bob Buchanan from WJNT. Bob's a good man. I'm telling you. He's just like Donald Trump. I've done business with Bob. And yet y'all hate Donald Trump and you love Benny, and Benny won't share a dime. And all Donald Trump is trying to do is show you how to get a bag. And you hate him because you won't think, and your pastor won't even tell you the folly of your ways. And you support the church, you support the pastor. When you hit a lick, you drop a sack on him and put a bag in his hand. And then when you get down low, They act like they don't know you. Let's take a break. All right, folks, we're back, and it is Monday. And President Trump continued to rack up the win. America's better off. In fact, this is the Renaissance, the golden age of America. America has been made great again. And the same people who didn't want America made great again want to embrace the racist educational system that has dumbed down black people under the leadership of black Democrats over the last 40 years. And surprisingly, to me anyway, black people seem to be happy that their kids aren't being educated in the face of all this opportunity. Governor Reeves brought in $17 billion within 30-mile radius of Jackson, within a 10-mile radius of Canton, and those are the only two municipalities that are not parlaying that investment into greater heights for the citizens of their towns. And it's all because black leadership is obedient and have entered into just what I call questionable contracts and relationships with entities and groups that do not have our best interests at heart. And whenever, I don't care what group of people you are come from or are part of, if you don't look out for your kids, you are heathens. You're heathens. You talk about Chokwe being selfish. No, this present group of black leadership is selfish as hell. All they want is another plaque, another award being recognized for what they did 40, 50 years ago. Sit your butts down somewhere. Yes, thank you for your service. But you seem to be the only group of people who are obsessed with this. And that's why Kellogg Foundation keeps giving One Voice that money every year so they can keep these people before us. But you notice the people that they keep before us is always the political leaders. They don't tell us about those blacks who financed the civil rights movement, whose little corner stores, whose little juke joints left them with enough cash to come bail those ninjas out who got arrested. Kellogg Foundation they want to tell you about the political leadership because they want to keep you focused on anything other than money. And then the blacks who are stealing from us, they get a double bonus with them because the money that they steal never gets invested. All they can do is sit back and count their money like Daddy Warbucks at night, sitting in their bathtub full of coins that can never be invested in the community. Folks, do you see why we're not making any progress? Because our leadership is living below our upbringing, and you don't care. So if you don't care, guess who cares even less? Me. Our number, 601-879-0002. I want to remind you, folks, our good friends, Rita Jensen. Rita Jensen, folks, as you know, Rita has been selling real estate over 3 decades, getting results. That's why we gave her the moniker Rita Results Jensen. You thinking about putting your home on the market, your property on the market, give her a call. She stands at the ready to help you with your As a matter of fact, if you want rental property, she has rental properties available. And matter of fact, she will buy your house if it doesn't sell because she's going to give you the recommendations on how to get it sold. She guarantees the sale. The woman is just phenomenal. So if you're looking for great, you're going to get it in her. And she's humble, but she's also effective. And that's what you want. And she knows everybody up and down the real estate food chain. She can plug you in. She can tell you where to go and where to get the best results. And Rita Jensen is where I would start. Check it out today, folks. Rita Jensen, RitaJensen.net, JENSEN.net. All right, folks, it is an open forum here today. I'm excited. We got a lot going on here in this country. For those who understand that we're being blessed with the presence of Donald Trump. And again, let us not be like Mr. Truly over there in Canton. Now, I'm not saying Truly's not a good person. That's not it. I'm saying he made dude, how do we keep missing looking out for our kids? Because we as older black adults, we're just selfish. We're selfish. I can tell you this, Truly's parents didn't raise him like that. They sacrificed for him to be able to go to med school. I ain't heard this story, but I'm pretty certain my mom and dad, they worked hard. What's that? They worked hard to be able to put me in a position where I could go. Bro, we owe that same responsibility to the kids. And let me just say, I'm not against public school. Public schools have failed us. And if they want to get back in our good graces, educate our kids. But black leadership won't demand a curricula that spends more time training our kids in reading, writing, and arithmetic. We allow them to take 3 or 4 hours a day on miscellaneous BS while our kids are running amok in these streets. And folks, as a candidate, I'm the only one who told you how this thing was going down. I said, look at this. The structure that used to be in the public schools that kept our kids from going or running amok. Now, we always had juvenile delinquents, but we got them in numbers in excess of being able to incorporate them in society, absorb them in society. And now they're all up and down, running up and down our doorstep. And rather than these kids getting these socialization in school like they used to, now they don't get it. And so when they get out of school or get too old to be in school, we got some old adults that wrote a grant to try to teach some 21-year-old what they should have learned in junior high. But because the time that used to be spent in junior high teaching them on how to get along, how to build, how to see projects through, how to grow a tomato plant, how to go to wood shop and make something. All those little things that teach you patience, they don't do that anymore. But now we got somebody waiting there when they're 21 years old. And now these 21-year-olds got attitudes, funky attitudes in many cases. Folks, they got us by the shorts. What the devil has done is basically treat the black community and black men and women like kids. You know, you got a 2 or 3 year old child running around the house and you in the other room trying to cook or trying to do something. And you need them to settle because you don't have time to keep jumping up, see what the heck they doing. So you go in there, you take a dinner plate, you break it in 2 or 3 pieces and sit it down in front of them, tell them to put it together. Just to occupy. That's what they've done to the black community. They broke our community and they given us grants and 501c3s to fix the problems that wouldn't even need to be fixed if we would just educate our kids. And yet, every year the legislature meets, they don't do anything for education as it relates to the black community. And the worst performing school districts are in the school districts where the Black Caucus run things. Bro, we're screwed. Our DNA has been spliced and inserted therein is evil. You get mad at me what I'm saying? You can't prove me wrong. So when I tell you that if John Horn keeps the lights on in the city of Jackson, the traffic lights, look, that's an accomplishment. But you know what, black folks? That's like putting on deodorant and brushing your teeth. People are expecting you to do that. So you don't get a butter cookie or a parade in your honor for doing it. Get it right. We expect it. But can you go beyond that? Can you grow the city? Can you grow the tax base? No. Because you done told everybody your problem that you have is everybody else's fault. No. I'm telling you for the dough, get up off that thing, get up off your butt, and get to work. So this is what I say to the kabuki dancers out there, those little guilt-ridden whites and the hustling blacks. Your game ain't going to work, bro. Not this 4 years. So the victory you won is going to be a hollow victory. Because I'm saying to Derek Johnson, why don't you go on WNPR? Why don't you go on WNPR and explain to Derek, go over there, Sherry Jones. I'm going to pay for Derek Johnson's hour to come over there and explain to the black community why public education is so important to black people and why public education is more important to black people than the education of our kids, period. So, Derek, you got a free hour. Go over there and tell him. He ain't going to do it because he's arrogant as hell. They think they own black people. Black people are a commodity. They are using us like crops. And they're selling us. And we're sharecropping because we don't ever get caught up. And we can't ever get the things we need because we're always in the hole. So all you black folks out there, look at the education. If we're not concerned about education, you're not concerned about economic development. Let's be clear about it. You're doing deals for old folks. And ain't nothing wrong with that other than the old folks that I grew up around, they would never do that to the exclusion of their kids' future. But these black folks today, they don't give a damn. But you notice their kids take the jobs that they got as a result of affirmative action. They passing on the good jobs to themselves. That's why DEI was so important to them. That's why affirmative action is so important to them. Because they don't intend to educate everybody. They just want enough slots available for them so they can sit up there and be important. Screw that. That's why, y'all, I'm in this race. That's the reason why I got in this race. That's the reason why the next 4 years ain't going to be the way Kane did on the rest of them. And guess what? All you folks out there didn't want a white mayor. You got one anyway. Because Kane is the man behind this. And look, I ain't got no problem with it. Because if you got the expertise to help navigate this thing, God bless, do it. But to you black folks out there, don't get it twisted. Just like Richard Pryor said back on one of his comedy albums about the black guy running the bar, he had to correct, hold up, brother. You just fronting for the white man. You don't. All right, folks, we are back and it is Monday. Glad to be back here in the studios. Folks, I hope you had a chance to go down to Tom's Fried Pies this weekend, this holiday weekend. If you haven't been down there, put it on your to-do list. You'll thank me for it. And everybody who's tasted it, man, you are right. I don't know how he does it, but he's doing it. And Tom, matter of fact, interesting thing about, I was reading a story on Facebook, social media somewhere, about the origin of the moon pie. And the moon pie was made for the same purposes as the Tom's Fried Pies. It was made for the miners going down into the mines who needed something that was going to hold them and that was easy and didn't take up a lot of space, yada, yada, yada. And the moon pie was invented. Matter of fact, the guy was selling them, and he was somewhere in Kentucky. And he was a salesman trying to sell the moon pie, and he stopped at a store, and there was some miners in there, and they said, "This is what we need. We need these cookies that you got here. Dip them in some icing, and put the marshmallow in." Anyway, that's how the moon pie came up, and it was made as a result of a miner's suggestion, and that's the same way it was with the Tom's Fried Pies. Tom's mom used to make it for his father rather, and meat pies, because that would be his lunch. And again, it's just an interesting little tidbit of information there. But check out Tom's Fried Pie in Richland, Mississippi, south of Kroger's, on the same side, right across from the Walgreens. You'll see Lost Pizza, Baptist Clinic, and a couple other MEA or something like that. But check it out today. You'll be glad you did. You'll thank me later. Tom's Fried Pies. And don't forget, get 2 minimum. All right, folks, it's an open forum here. Oh, I got to tell you what happened. Everybody know Harvey Dallas, my good buddy. Harvey and I go back. That's my spiritual big brother. He is sowed into my life in so many ways. And, at some of my lowest points, he has been a blessing. And he heard me talk about the patch, the energy patch, the LifeWave patch. Folks, I'm telling you, this thing, it does what it did. It did it for me. I was low on energy. And like I said, I'm back doing my CrossFit now. And I was out sprinting today and doing farmer's carry and the whole 9 yards. Anyway, so Harvey said, "Kim, I'm interested in it." And so he did. He ordered him some. And he said, "Man, but I tell you what, Kim, I'm out of juice. I'm a little lethargic and I got a lot of pain." So I said, "Look, bro, I'm going to bring you a couple patches." I brought him a patch. I think I took it to him Friday. And he put it on Saturday. He called me Saturday after, "Man, I've been cutting grass and bush hogging and chopping wood," and he was a happy camper. I mean, he said, "Kim, I'm going to tell everybody I know about this thing. I'm going to get my kids on it, get my wife on it." I'm telling you, folks, I can't say what it will do for you. I'm just telling you what it did for me. And what it does, I mean, like I said, it's not injecting you with anything. You're not going to get any chemicals. You're not going to get any hangovers. It gets into your mitochondrial, whatever it is, and your peptides or something like that. If you folks with the medical background, you'll know, dude, you can say, once you see what it does and how it does it, you can say, okay, this makes sense, especially those with a medical background. The light's going to click off in your head. Now, the way I describe it is, it's like you're the bugler who comes into your barracks and just start blowing that horn. Everybody get up. And that's what it tells your cells. And your cells just start doing everything it does, but at a higher level. You actually feel good. So we're going to be bringing some people who have experienced the patch and what their experiences was on. I think I got about another 5 days left, and I'll give you my 30-day assessment of it, okay? But in the meantime, let's go to James. Hey, James.
Hey, what's going on, Holmes?
What's going on, my friend?
Yeah, look, I just wondered if you've heard anything else about that Doge stimulus check for $5,000. I haven't heard anything else about it since they brought it up that first time.
All right. Let me get an understanding of what you heard, and then I think I can help you out with the status of it.
They talk about all the money they saved. In Doge, they saved it up that they could give everybody a $5,000 per head. And a stimulus check. But then that was it. Nothing else has been said about it.
All right. All right. In order for them to do that, it has to go through the Congress. And with this with this bill that they had there were specific things they had to do to avoid the 60-vote filibuster threshold that would be required to do the Doge type cuts in the funding bill coming out of Congress. So they had to go this route. They're hoping to be able to do that on the next budget bill, but they couldn't get it in there because it would require more than a 50-vote simple majority to pass it. But that was the problem with it. The Doge cuts are available to be had, but again, you just couldn't get everything in one bill. And this is the thing with Elon, that he understands enough about process, understanding that it wasn't a matter that people didn't want it. You just couldn't get it on this vehicle. That's all.
You think it'll ever go through?
Well, I'm hoping it will. But again, if we can increase our numbers in the Congress next time around where you don't have a 1-vote majority, it makes it a lot easier. But when you got a 1-vote majority, all it takes is one person to throw the wrench in it. There's a lot of good ideas out there. Again, what Trump was trying to do with the election integrity commission, et cetera, if we can get our election clean with paper ballots, oh, yeah, we could get the votes that we would need to get the legislation that we want. But because we got so many people backstabbing us, because you have so many incumbent politicians who like the president election process because it guarantees their seat. But if we get clean voting rolls and good, clean, better elections, we can get the numbers that we need to get the politicians in there that will support the ideals that we believe in.
I heard that.
Yeah.
Maybe one day it'll clean up good enough where we can get some stuff done for sure.
Well, but
I hope it goes through before he gets out of office.
Well, what do you think about the bill that was passed, or what do you know about the bill that you know enough about it to comment?
I saw something somewhere on the internet that somebody posted a clip with the Caroline, what's her name, that press secretary girl?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Karen Levitt. Yeah.
Yeah, somebody, a journalist asked her about it, and she said that they weren't going to do it like they did all the other ones, the $1,400 ones before. She said that this one was going to have to put in for it.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you're legitimate and you actually file, you have to put in for it when you file. But again, it's not like the Trump and people like yourself and myself don't want it. We got to navigate the process. It's not somebody trying to hold us back. See, this is the problem that I have in the black community in terms of how we navigate the political process. We complain about what we don't get, but then we don't effectively pull the levers of power, and then we get mad at everybody else. Oh, they must be racist. No, you're just ineffective at governing. That's all. And so we just got to be more sophisticated. That's all. Grow up and, see the process through. It's like raising kids. It's just, called life.
I heard that, man.
All right.
All right, buddy. You hang in there.
Appreciate
Thanks
you.
a lot.
Thank you, man. All right. We got Joe Willie B. Where you been, son? Willie, Joe B.
Dear Joe Willie B. Now, Kim, before you say anything, all of us come up watching Hawaii Five-0, McGarrett. And McGarrett never could catch Wolf Fat.
Who?
And I'm Wolf Fat. You McGarrett.
What'd he say?
I just wanted to say, man, to all the African Americans out there in the world,
Yeah.
I'm coming with the white flag. Donald Trump knows what's best for me and my family, and the people done spoke, and I'm through with it. You know what I'm saying? I not choose to deal with it.
Actually,
Let the chips fall, be it may. I don't know. Just like John Horn, Peter Mayer over there. I ain't never seen the governor and everybody come and ride around the man trying to do what's best for Jackson. My thing is this here with Jackson. All BS aside, they need to tear down every house where ain't nobody living in, and that'll cut down some of that crime.
how was
Now,
that?
you wanna get
How
to
would
the
no?
word,
No, wait a minute.
you
No,
know,
stop it. How does knocking down a house stop crime? Because I've been hearing this for years and years.
Well, Cam, look, I done lit out the garbage can, and I'm still probably homeless. And, man, I was sleeping there. You know, I'm a murderer, a sex offender. That one might be up there next door with her own children. And then you over there asleep because this guy here don't want to cut the grass or because he don't want to knock the house down. Ain't no right in it.
Well, look. Well, why don't
Ain't no right in that.
Joe Willie? Why don't we take a different approach?
Mm-hmm.
Why don't we just be better people? Now, do you think that house was bought from a hardware store that had the sign that says, "We have slum lumber available"? Is it the lumber? Is it the lumber that's slum? Is it the lumber that's ghetto? Or do we need to work on ourselves, Joe B?
The people don't have the money anymore. I'm a hustler.
Mm-hmm.
I used to go out there and spend $100.
Mm-hmm.
Then I'm detailing cars now. I ain't licensed or nothing like that there.
Right.
But, man,
Hey, I got to take a break. Hold on. We'll go to the break and we can talk with him. Go ahead. Okay, I can hear you.
Well, Kim, all I'm saying is I'm on Donald Trump's side. Anytime you're a convicted felon or you convicted of something, this man convicted of everything all the rappers convicted of, all the peoples convicted of felonies. And this man, he's sent from God, to be honest with you. I ain't never seen nothing like that.
I agree.
Eddie Murphy, Red Fox, none of them. He's very entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know what I'm able to tell you as an African-American man.
Mm-hmm.
My hands and my family hands is in this man's hands now.
Right.
I choose to deal with it. I just hope it don't affect me in a negative way where I can't feed my children.
Right. And it shouldn't. If you sit back and study the board.
I can tell you this here.
Go ahead.
What they can.
No, I'm listening. Go ahead.
And I hope they lock up Chuck Way.
Okay.
I hope they lock up Owen and that other nigga. Excuse me, man. I hope they lock their ass up. I'm tired of them.
I'm tired of it, too.
Here I am. I can't even buy a chicken or even neck bone. And here y'all down there at the titty bar and enjoying yourself. And then he ain't nothing but an arrogant ass wimp. He ain't had his ass whooped. I hope they send him to prison, brother. And the only reason I hope they send Polo ass to prison, because if he wouldn't have tried to be his own defense attorney, he might could have told that girl she was a whore or something.
Mm-hmm.
That's how he in jail right now. He's a dumb one. And that's most all I got to say. I tell you the one thing. You need to keep Joe as the police chief. Just go and keep Joe as the police chief. Then after that, now, you can go on and do what you got to do. But don't mess with that.
I agree.
It's already bad enough. You can't go nowhere now. It's just so sad out here, man. I'm scared, man.
You're right.
I got the white flag out, brother. I am afraid.
Joe Willie, good to hear from you, brother. All right, now we'll talk.
Well, brother, like I say, it's like a Y50. You McGarrett and I'm Wolf Fat. You never could catch me. Wolf Fat always be eating out on that goddamn boat, man.
All right, bro.
Now they call me the blueprint. They doubted. They call me the black sheep. Now they call me the blueprint. They doubted me. Now they download me. And baby, I didn't change for them. I grew for me. I was the one they whispered about, left out, counted out, filled with doubt. Sat quiet while they laughed in rooms. But now I walk in and the whole room moves. I stayed low while they threw that shade. Kept building when they thought I'd fade. Now every no that I survived got me walking like royalty in my stride. I'm the black sheep turned goat, turned pain into pressure and pressure into growth. They used to look down, now they look up. Now I'm the one they call when life gets tough. Head held high, crown in place. Didn't need revenge, just ran my race. I'm the black sheep that soared so free. Now I'm the goat, and they finally see. They never knew what I had inside.
Yeah, I meant to catch that.